All right, 5.4 cosine law. Cosine law is the formula that you see here. A squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine A. Now, that is, again, if you're looking for side A, for example, you would start with a squared. Notice that the formula starts with A and ends with A. So if you start with little a, you end with big A, and nowhere in here will you see side A or angle A within the equation, except at the beginning and the end. Now, if I was to say, let's say we needed to find side B, well, it would be b squared is equal to c squared plus a squared minus 2ca or ac cosine b. Again, starting with b, ending with b. Let's try again for c. What would that look like? Well, if we were to erase these out, we would see that it would start with c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine c. So again, c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine c. The cosine law formula was actually derived from the Pythagorean theorem, and you'll see that the Pythagorean theorem is found inside the cosine law. So it's a neat way to remember it. Now, what else is important is that you can also use cosine law to find an angle. So what happens here is that what I tend to do is when we're looking at the equation, we will be able to find the angle. Now, how would we do that? Well, this is the fast way to get the angle. It will be C is equal to, let's say we're looking for angle C. C is equal to a squared plus b squared minus c squared all over 2ab. And what we're going to do with all of this is, because we're looking for an angle, we're actually going to take that's right, since it's cosine law, we're going to take the cos inverse of all of this. So we'll recap again. If I wanted to find angle C, it's equal to the cos inverse of a squared plus b squared minus c squared over 2ab. And you can do the same to find angle B, angle A, and just remember to do the letters properly. Remember that if you start with C, in the angle you will minus that C. If you start for a side, start with C, you end up with an angle C at the end. Okay, let's look at an example. Find the length of the unknown side to the nearest tenth of a unit. So we need to find side E, this little side right here. And we know we need to use cosine law because, let's look folks, we have two sides and, that's right, a contained angle. To be able to use cosine law, we must have two sides and a contained angle, or all three sides. That allows us to use cosine law. So let's recap again on the previous page. So we use cosine law. So we use cosine law when you have the following. So given a triangle, you have two sides that are given and a contained angle. That is the time you would use cosine law. Another time you would use cosine law is if you're given a triangle, an oblique triangle, and you know all three sides and you need to find an angle. That's when you use cosine law. Okay, folks, back to the other question. So we need to find the length of this particular side E. We're going to use cosine law. So we set it up. E squared is equal to d squared plus f squared minus 2df cosine E. E squared is equal to 25 squared plus 21 squared minus 2 times 25 times 21 cosine 70. That means we need to take the square root of the answer of the numbers that we have here. Take the square root of that, and we get E is equal to 26.5872 millimeters. 26.6 millimeters to be rounded, because the question asks us to round the final answer. And that's what we did here. So side E is equal to 26.6 millimeters. Okay, moving on. Find the measure of each marked angle to the nearest tenth of a degree. So here's the angle that we're looking for. We're going to use cosine law here, folks, because we have three sides. We need to find the angle. So we set it up. R is the angle we're looking for. R is equal to the cosinverse of P squared plus Q squared minus R squared all over 2PQ. R is equal to the cosinverse of, plug in the values, and then when we plug in the values, we find out that the R angle is 54.8262 degrees. Rounded to the nearest tenth is 54.8 degrees. Well, folks, that's it for cosine law. Have a numerical day.